Hello everyone, I'm Swapna Shetty. In this video, we are going to see something about interfaces and how to achieve multiple inheritance using interfaces and few differences between abstract class and interface. So what is basically an interface? If you look at a class with only abstract methods and there are no concrete methods in it, it becomes an interface. This means that an interface contains methods which are all abstract and none of the methods will have body. Only method prototypes will be written inside the interface. So interface can be defined as a specification of method prototypes, something like this. Interface is the keyword used to define an interface followed by the interface name and the methods in the interface. And each method doesn't have any body inside it. And by default, all the methods inside an interface are public and abstract. So since interface consists of abstract methods which doesn't have any implementation, we cannot create an object to an interface because JVM cannot estimate how much memory to allocate to each method inside the interface. So if we look at an interface, it is almost it's like a class but with having methods with no body. By looking at this interface, we may think that writing an interface is mere waste, but this is not correct. In fact, interface is more useful when compared to the class. So let us illustrate this point by taking an example. Let's say we have some rupees in our hands. We can spend in rupees only by going to a shop where billing is done in rupees. Suppose we have gone to a shop where only dollars are accepted. We cannot use our rupees there. So this money is like a class. A class satisfies the only requirement intended for it. It is not useful to handle a different situation. Suppose we have a credit card. Now we can pay by using our credit card in rupees in a shop. If we go to another shop where they expect us to use or pay in dollars, we can pay in dollars. So the same credit card can be used to pay in pounds also. So the credit card is like an interface which will perform several tasks. So of course it is a plastic card. It doesn't hold any money physically. It just contains our name, our bank name and some number. But the shopkeepers are able to draw the money from the credit card. How it is possible? Behind the credit card, we got our bank account which holds the money from where it is transferred to the shopkeepers. So this bank account is taken as an implementation class which actually performs the task. So let's see an example of using this interface. Let's say a programmer is asked to write a code to connect to a Oracle database. So how does a programmer writes a class for this? So let me create a new project, say interface sample, and say next, then say finish. And this create a class called interface demo. Within a package com.educators with a main method. Now, how does a programmer write a class to connect to the Oracle database? For example, class myClass, which contains two methods. One is for connecting, one is for disconnecting. So connecting, I simply write that it is connecting to Oracle DB. Assume here in this connect method, the programmer may write details like using Oracle driver name and the username and password to connect to the Oracle DB and all such details. So instead of writing all those details, I'm just printing like it is connecting to the Oracle DB. Similarly, disconnect. I just print disconnected from Oracle. So if we look at this class is used only to connect to the Oracle DB. If a programmer is asked to connect to a Sybase DB, then he may write a new set of class. Like this, around the world we have a number of databases available. So if a programmer is asked to write a program to connect to all the databases in the world, and writing each separate class to connect to separate database is not an efficient way. So how do we solve this problem is using interfaces. So let me comment out this. And how do we write interfaces? Using a keyword interface followed by the name. I would say simply my interface, that is my inter. In this I provide the methods to be implemented, that is just the method specifications, that is only connect with no body to it, similarly disconnect with no body to it. That is, I don't know to which DB I need to connect, whether it is Oracle or Sybase, whatever it may be. So I just provide this interface to the third-party vendors. So third-party vendor, it is the duty of the third-party vendor to connect to their specific databases. For example, Oracle people may write their implementation class, something like class Oracle DB implements, this is the keyword to implement the interface, my inter. So when you write the statement, you can see an error, compile time error, saying it must implement the inherited abstract method, that is connect and the disconnect. So simply add unimplemented methods inside it. So here I would just write the code to connect to the DB. For now I'm just writing connecting to Oracle DB. Similarly for disconnecting, I would write disconnected from Oracle DB. Similarly, another programmer can write an implementation class by following the same interface and with the same inherited methods, but the code inside it may change. Like I can write another class, something like class Sybase. It's an implementation class of my inter to connect to the Sybase database. So here also same thing, add unimplemented methods and write the code inside connect and disconnect methods. Connecting to Sybase. Disconnected from Sybase. Now, like this, any programmer can write their own implementation classes and provide bodies to the methods available inside the interface. Now, how do we use these classes? So we can create objects to the implementation classes and call the methods inside it. So for that, I can simply say Oracle DB object 1 or obj1 equals to new Oracle DB, and then call obj1 dot connect and obj1 dot disconnect. Similarly, I can create an object to Sybase also. Sybase obj2 equals to new Sybase and obj2 dot connect obj2 dot disconnect. Now let's run this. And as Java application, you can see first it connected to Oracle DB, disconnected, and then Sybase. So there is another way also, using interface reference variable referring to its implementation classes. Something like this. Like I would say, instead of this, I would create a reference variable for my inter mi. So now I can use mi to refer to object of implementation class, that is Oracle DB. And then using this mi, I can call the disconnect as well as connect methods. Similarly, now mi can also refer to the Sybase object. And call the connect and disconnect methods appropriately. Again, Oracle and then Sybase. So I'm using an interface reference variable referring to its implementation class object and calling the methods appropriately. So an interface is nothing but it's a specification of method prototypes, and it contains 0 or more abstract methods which are by default public and abstract. So public, why method should be public is they should be available for the third-party vendors, and abstract because third-party vendors will provide the implementation for those methods inside the interface. And of course, interface also can contain variables which are by default public, static, and final. That means all the variables inside an interface are constants. And no methods can be private, protected, or static inside an interface. And obviously, we cannot create an object in an interface because there are no method implementations, and JVM cannot estimate how much memory to be allocated. And all the members should be implemented in the implementation classes. Next, an interface can extend another interface, but an interface cannot implement another interface. If I say implement, I need to provide method bodies, but an interface cannot have method bodies. So that is the reason we say an interface cannot implement another interface. A class can implement multiple interfaces like class name, implements keyword, and the names of the interfaces. So multiple inheritance using interfaces. So what is multiple inheritances? Subclasses are derived from multiple superclasses. Suppose if two superclasses have same members, then which member is inherited into subclass? That is the confusion when we are using multiple inheritance. So this confusion can be reduced by using multiple interfaces. For example, we have one interface here. Let me say I have another interface, say interface A, which is having one x variable int x and which is having a value of 20. Now already I have a my inter interface. So let me write another variable inside it called x with initialized with 10. Now I can simply say that interface demo implements my inter comma a. So when I say this, of course it should add the unimplemented methods. That's a different case. Now in the main method, if I try to access the variable, I have two interfaces now, interface myInter and interface A. Both are having X variable. Now if I have to refer to X of myInter, I can simply refer as myInter dot X. Similarly, I can also refer as A dot X. So a class implementing two interfaces, and two interfaces are having same variable names, but still I'm able to refer to those variable names by using the interface name dot variable name. So when I execute this, we can see the output as 10 and 20. So this is how we can resolve the confusion in using multiple inheritance. And few differences between abstract classes versus interfaces. Like mainly abstract class is written when there are some common features shared by all the objects, whereas interface, when all the features are implemented differently in different objects, we use interface. And for abstract class, we write subclasses written by the programmer. And for interfaces, we write implementation classes, again leaving it to the third-party vendors to implement those classes. Abstract class can contain concrete as well as abstract methods, whereas an interface contains only abstract methods. Abstract class can have instance variables, whereas interface contain only constants. And abstract methods are implemented in the subclasses, whereas interface abstract methods are implemented in its implementation classes. Abstract class is declared by a keyword called abstract and interface by a keyword called interface. That's all with the session. Thank you.